Rohan's morning started like any other. The sun streamed through his apartment window, casting long shadows across the floor. He stretched, got out of bed, and shuffled into the kitchen to start the coffee machine. The familiar gurgle of the brewer was a comforting sound, a constant in his otherwise unremarkable life. He glanced around his living room, a space he knew like the back of his hand, the worn armchair, the bookshelf overflowing with paperbacks, the slightly crooked painting on the wall, and the door. He stopped mid-yawn, coffee mug halfway to his lips. A door, right there in the middle of the main living room wall. A solid, dark wooden door that absolutely, positively had not been there last night. Or ever. He blinked, rubbing his eyes. Maybe he was still dreaming. He splashed some cold water on his face from the kitchen sink and looked again. It was still there. An old, weathered door with peeling varnish and no handle, no knob, not even a keyhole. It was just a slab of wood embedded in the plaster. His heart started to pound a frantic rhythm against his ribs. This was impossible. He ran his hands over the smooth, painted wall beside it, then touched the rough, splintery surface of the door. The contrast was jarring, real. He tried to rationalize. Was it some kind of elaborate prank? Had the landlord done some secret renovation overnight without telling him? The idea was absurd. He spent the next hour trying to remember. He scoured old photos on his phone, looking for any shot of that wall. Nothing. Just a plain, white wall where the mysterious door now stood. His mind started to play tricks on him. Was he losing it? Had the door always been there, and he'd just forgotten? A cold dread washed over him. He needed a second opinion. He knocked on his neighbor Mrs. Gable's door. She was a sweet old lady who had lived in the building for 30 years. A door? She repeated, peering at him over her glasses. No, dear. Never been a door on that wall. Just the one to the hallway. He asked the building superintendent, a grumpy man named Sal. Sal just grunted and said he was crazy. No one knew anything. He was alone with this impossible thing. Days turned into a week. The door became the focal point of his existence. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't eat. He'd just sit on his sofa and stare at it, a silent wooden sentinel in his home. The fear that had initially gripped him slowly began to curdle into something else, an intense, gnawing curiosity. What was behind it? Where did it lead? The not knowing was becoming more terrifying than any possible reality. He couldn't live like this anymore. He had to know. One evening, fueled by a strange mix of desperation and courage, he made a decision. He rummaged through his toolbox, pulling out a crowbar and a hammer. His hands were shaking, but his resolve was firm. He wedged the tip of the crowbar into the thin crack between the door and the frame. He pushed. Nothing. He put his full weight into it, grunting with effort. A faint groan echoed in the silent apartment. He hammered the crowbar deeper, the metal clanging against the wood. Splinters flew. Sweat beaded on his forehead. With a final, desperate heave, there was a loud crack, like ancient bones snapping. The door shuddered and swung inward, just a few inches. A sliver of light spilled out. It wasn't sunlight or electric light. It was a soft, ethereal glow, shimmering with colors he'd never seen before, pulsing with a gentle, silent rhythm. The air that drifted out was cool and smelled of damp earth and something else. Something ancient and unknown, like ozone after a lightning strike and blooming night flowers. All his fear vanished, replaced by an overwhelming sense of wonder and destiny. This was meant for him. He took a deep breath, his heart a steady drum now. He stood on the precipice, gazing into the mesmerizing, alien light. He took one step forward, crossing the threshold from his world into whatever lay beyond. Behind him, with a deafening final slam, the door swung shut, plunging his apartment back into darkness.